And happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kay, and it's time for our daily hail forecast sponsored by See-Through Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as our newest sponsor, at least for our videos. They've been a sponsor for us for a while, Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We did get finally our second 5-star map of the season yesterday for the Omaha metro area, as well as other parts in Nebraska. So we will take a look at that, as well as taking a look at where we're watching for the potential for large hail today. And then getting into tomorrow, the risk for severe hail will once again return to the central plains, including Nebraska and Kansas. So we'll take a look at tomorrow's forecast as well. And then lastly, we'll check in on the tropics, as it is that time of the year. But before we get into the forecast, we do have a few events. The first one is actually today down in Grapevine, Texas. This is the NTRCA Not So Many trade show, so make sure you come on by and say hi to us there at the show. And then next we have also in Grapevine, Texas on June 23rd. It's a lunch and a learn event on 1901 South Main Street. So some more information can be found here. And then lastly, we have the Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Expo down in Daytona Beach, Florida from the 19th to the 22nd of July. Some more information can be found at www.floridaroof.com. So let's take a look at yesterday's reports. You can see it was a very active day and night, and even into early this morning. Plenty of hail reports, wind reports. We did have some landspout tornadoes, as well as some other potential tornadic activity, maybe something in the Kansas City metro south of there. Nothing's been officially reported yet, but we did see something. But yeah, a lot of reports here from Nebraska to Kansas, westward to Colorado. We did get some activity in the Colorado Springs area. Nothing too crazy though. You can see here in terms of the reports, they stayed east of the metro areas. Unfortunately, it's just how those mountains work. And then we had some more activity in central Oklahoma, as well as into the panhandle of Texas and parts of New Mexico, and some more scattered reports here across the Tennessee Valley as far south as central Alabama. So here is our 5-star map that we made yesterday. Omaha got smacked pretty good. We saw up to 2.5-inch hail here in Omaha, or I should say actually 2-inch in Omaha, and then larger off to the southwest. But Omaha as well as Hastings, they both got hit pretty good. So if you want to get more information, this map is called Omaha, Ralston, Hastings, Nebraska. The largest hail, this isn't actually correct, it should be 2.75 because, you know, purple. But the number of homes that were impacted for quarter-size hail and larger was a little over 78,000. So we do have that map on our website, so make sure you go and check that out. And we also have a recap video too for this map. So here are our current conditions across the lower 48. We do have a few systems that are impacting us right now. There's a cold front that is moving off the coast, bringing some showers in parts of Maine. And then we have a disturbance here in the Great Lakes region, bringing some heavier rain to parts of Wisconsin and Illinois. But this is really the main story for today. We're going to zoom in on here first. We have a lot of showers and storms moving on to the east-southeast from eastern Oklahoma to near the Oklahoma-Texas border, eastward into Arkansas. It doesn't look like there are any warnings with this right now, but we do have a severe thunderstorm watch out for this region. You can see the areas shaded in pink. And then zooming out a bit, we do have some more thunderstorm activity trying to develop right along this boundary here in the southeast. And then I mentioned those few showers in Maine, as well as some heavier precipitation in the Great Lakes region with the low pressure with that. So here are our current temperatures across the U.S. Like we've been seeing the last few days, it's pretty much warm versus cold, humid versus not humid. Temperature-wise, it's 76 in Atlanta, 87 in Dallas. That front has not made its way through you guys yet, so that's why it's so warm there. But then you go further north, it's 75 in Kansas City, and then cooler as we go even further west. It's only 66 in Denver, and here are dew points. Again, very warm and humid ahead of these systems. 68-degree dew point in Atlanta, 67 in Dallas, 74 in New Orleans, and 75 in Miami. So a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture ahead of this system, and a lot more comfortable as you get behind it with only a 44-degree dew point in Minneapolis and 37 in Denver. So let's take a look at our future radars. There are a few of them here. I believe there's 3. Again, one particular model, one particular run of this model. This just gives us an idea of storm mode, potential locations, and all that fun stuff. So like we saw in our current radar, here are the showers and heavier storms moving their way from Oklahoma into Arkansas. As we get into later on this afternoon, this is at 4 p.m. Central Time, these storms will continue to move on to the east-southeast. Little Rock, you can get in on the action within the next few hours. In parts of Louisiana, you can see some loud and potentially windy storms as well. And then you can see here around 4 p.m. Central Time, a few storms will once again try to fire up in southeastern New Mexico and in the southern part of the Texas Panhandle. And then getting into later on in the evening, we could see a few little storms try to develop southeast of Oklahoma City. I don't think the severe risk is really going to be too high as we get throughout the rest of today and into tonight, as our atmosphere is pretty worn out. But who knows? I mean, the atmosphere can, re-destabilize. So we just got to watch here very carefully, but I don't think a lot is expected to happen. But as we get into later on in the evening, we got to watch these storms here crossing into the Panhandle of Texas. There could be a marginal chance to see some hail and stronger winds in areas such as Lubbock as we get into the later evening hours and into the overnight. And then you can see those start to die off, and we could see a few more little storms develop here along the Red River Valley area as we near daybreak. Now moving on to the southeast, we do have that activity that's going on in parts of Alabama and into Georgia, and as well as into parts of Arkansas. This is sponsored by C3 Group, by the way. Thank you guys for sponsoring. As we get into later on the afternoon, all this activity is going to push to the east, Jackson, Mississippi, into parts of northwestern Alabama. We can see some strong to severe thunderstorms as we reach dinner time. This is at 5 p.m. Central Time, as well as some scattered storms here as far east as the Carolinas. And then getting into later in the evening, this is at 8 p.m. Central Time, you can see more robust storms may develop here, getting into Birmingham around 8 p.m. Central Time. And then Atlanta, we could see a line of storms moving on through as we get to around 10:30 Eastern. So this, I think, is going to be mostly a wind. We could get some marginally severe hail out of this if anything can develop ahead of this line. Then getting into later on into the evening, that activity will push off to the east and start to dissipate quite rapidly, and we'll just get some heavier rain for parts of eastern Georgia into the Carolinas, especially the western part of South Carolina. And then getting to near daybreak, we could see a few more little storms develop, but I think the severe weather chances by late morning or late overnight into the early morning, it should be relatively low. So yeah, we got the eastern part, and then moving on to the northeast with that other little low pressure system. A lot of heavy rains going on right now in Illinois, Michigan, down into Indiana, Chicago. You can get some loud storms with this activity moving on through. Nothing severe though is expected But as we get into later on into the afternoon, you can see some more thunderstorm activity is expected to develop from around the Indianapolis area down to Cincinnati, south into Kentucky. We could get some storms down in Paducah, Kentucky, and then moving into the rest of the evening. It's at 8 p.m. Central Time, so 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We can see some louder storms, maybe some marginally severe storms getting through the Cleveland area as well as Pittsburgh. And then that will push off to the east as we get into the overnight. Some more thunderstorm developments expected here in Pennsylvania, into New Jersey, and then we'll move off to the northeast as we get into the overnight hours and into daybreak. So this is at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We could wake up here in Boston, Albany, New York with some loud storms. So just keep that in mind for your morning commute tomorrow. But as we get into today, for this afternoon, this is sponsored by American Contractor Show. Thank you for sponsoring, you guys. We do have 2 areas that we're going to be watching for severe hail today. I don't think it's going to get really big. The atmosphere is getting really tired. We have to have time for it to recharge. But let's take a look. The first one is going to be here in the panhandle of Texas, and this will be later on this evening into tonight. So Amarillo, Lubbock, westward into parts of New Mexico. And then the second area will be here in the Tennessee Valley, so Nashville, Memphis, southwestward to Shreveport, and then as far east as Atlanta as we get into later on this evening, and then as far north as Indianapolis and Charleston, West Virginia. Up to $half size hail is possible within these 2 regions, and I think the best chances are going to be here in the northern part of the risk with that low pressure system. And then moving a little bit to the east here, you can see even parts of northern Virginia and maybe as far east as Baltimore. $half size hail is possible with any storms that develop as well. Now getting into wind, basically the same 2 areas. The first one is right here in the panhandle of Texas, as well as parts of eastern New Mexico. We could see 60-mile-per-hour gusts with any storms that do develop here. And then our second area, a very large area, we'll see 60 to possibly 70-mile-per-hour gusts from Shreveport to Little Rock, Memphis, Birmingham, Nashville. And then moving on into the northeast here, same areas once again, Indianapolis, eastward to Pittsburgh, as well as Charleston, all the way down to the Carolinas. And I don't have the far northeast in the risk, but I mean, it looks like those storms may be below severe limits and will just be noisy, but who knows, right? I think overnight, those storms will be, I mean, it's overnight, so usually those storms will be a little bit below severe limits. So just keep that in mind, but it's going to be really heavy rain that's going to be occurring in the northeast. So let's get into tomorrow. For our future radar, we're going to once again return to the central part of the U.S. So we are going to be watching Nebraska as well as Kansas. This is at noon tomorrow. You can see a few showers may be occurring, but then as we get into later on the afternoon, 4 p.m. Central Time, you can see some individual storms will start to develop. So eastern Colorado into Nebraska, as well as we got to watch Kansas. And as we get into later on in the evening, you can see some more individual cells starting to develop, and all this activity will move off to the southeast as we get into the overnight hours and into, let's see, Friday morning, so early Friday morning. And yeah, we can see some even stronger storms late in the night on Thursday getting into Friday morning here. So this is at 4 a.m. Basically the same areas that we've been seeing the last few days, you guys. It's just this continuous pattern of those storms. It's June, you guys can tell. So this is at 7 a.m. Friday morning. Some more severe weather is possible from eastern Oklahoma into Arkansas as we wake up on Friday. And so here is our future radar for parts of northern Texas. We may have to watch you guys tomorrow for some marginally severe hail in Dallas. It's going to be a really low chance, but Mother Nature likes to throw some surprises, especially here in Dallas. So you can see a few storms may try to pop up tomorrow evening. This is at 6 p.m. tomorrow, as well as eastward into Shreveport. And then getting into the evening, those storms will move off to the east and will start to die off as we get into the later evening and overnight hours. So if you're in Dallas, cross your fingers. And then lastly here in the southeast, pretty quiet for the most part as we wake up tomorrow. And this is at noon, just a few showers, maybe a storm or two will be around. But then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, some more robust activity is possible here from Jacksonville westward to the panhandle of Florida and as far west as Shreveport. And those will continue as we go out through tomorrow evening and into the overnight hours. And then we should start to see them die off quite a bit here along the Gulf Coast as we lose that daytime heating. So here is tomorrow's hail forecast. This is sponsored by Merlin Law Group. Thank you guys for sponsoring. Let's zoom on in here. This is first for hail, and then we'll talk about wind. Another pretty large area, and you can see once again for tomorrow, we're returning to Nebraska and Kansas for our best chances for hail. So North Platte down to Garden City, eastward to Wichita, you guys have the best chance to see anywhere from golf ball to up to tennis ball size hail, and some lower chances as we go further south and east from Tulsa to here in Oklahoma City and Amarillo. And then those chances, although low, will be here from Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock to possibly Dallas, Fort Worth. So I know you guys are antsy in the Dallas area to get some more activity. I know we have a lot of clients down there that we love very much. And then we have our wind forecast, basically the same areas, but also along the Gulf Coast. And the best chance for severe winds will once again be in Nebraska and Kansas. I think up to 70-mile-per-hour gusts are possible, again, from North Platte to Garden City to Wichita, with some lower gusts up to 70 miles per hour, though still, I think, from Amarillo to Oklahoma City to Tulsa, and then southeastward to Shreveport, Louisiana, as well as New Orleans, eastward to Mobile, Alabama, and possibly as far east as Jacksonville, Florida. So here is our future jet stream. This is sponsored by Atlas. Thank you guys for being a sponsor. We do have a shortwave trough here in the middle of the U.S. that's bringing some unsettled weather here in the Great Lakes, and then this little one pushing off the coast here in the northeast. And then we have a little disturbance. You can't really see it that well on this particular map, but it's there, I promise. That is bringing that unsettled weather in the south. As we get into the next 24 hours, the one in the Great Lakes will move off to the east, and you can see another little wiggle here in the flow that will spark off severe weather tomorrow. And then getting into Friday, that little disturbance will move off to the southeast, so we have to watch Arkansas as well as Mississippi and Alabama for Friday. And I think Saturday, it looks pretty quiet for the most part, but then as we get into Sunday, we need to watch the Central Plains once again for another disturbance. But that's a little far out right now, so we'll just focus on Friday. I just mentioned Arkansas down to Jackson, Mississippi, eastward into Arkansas. This is the area that we'll be watching on Friday. So I think that is all in terms of hail and wind, but how about the tropics? Well, like I've been saying the last few days, nothing is really there at all. It's very quiet, so no chances of development within the next 2 or 5 days. So that is all that I have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page, We like to create a lot of fun content for you guys there on TikTok, whether it's stuff that we do here in the office or out in the field storm chasing. We also do live forecasts on there as well. So make sure you follow us there. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kale. Hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday.